Hey, welcome to the Bag Chatter podcast. I am Brian, joined by my co-host, as always, a man who is ready to talk for hours about the PGA Tour Live quote-unquote merger. Adam, how you doing today?
I'm good. I do have opinions about this. I do have opinions, but I don't watch golf content very much, as I've said previously. But boy, do I have opinions about Live and the PGA Tour.
Let me hear him. Give me the headlines.
I don't, I don't get why Live is being treated like a success in any sense. It was propped up by money, and they proved that they could buy expensive top players for just exorbitant amounts of money, which if you have tons of money, you can do basically whatever you want,
Right.
And then once they put a product out there, nobody liked the product. Do you know one person who likes the product? I don't. So it's like the idea that the PGA Tour is moving towards Live in terms of, okay, we're going to have these special events, and we're gonna do teams. I know you have a different opinion on the teams, but like we're gonna have no cuts and all this stuff. I'm like, no, Live didn't prove that people like those things at all. In my opinion, all they did was prove that you can buy stuff with anything with enough money. That's all Live did.
Yeah, I kind of want to say no lies detected. Like, I don't know that you've said anything untrue. And I did push back on you a little bit on Twitter saying, Liv's implementation of team golf was like the worst and should not be a referendum on whether or not team golf can work. I've always wanted team golf, PGA Tour, or at least a team element. But I've said all along that I don't know if there's actually a way that you can implement it that would still preserve the individual nature of golf. Obviously the NCAAs have a team element to them. I don't know how much of that would transfer to the pro game. I've thought even of, what if you had teams, but most of the season was individual events like it is now, but while guys are winning money for themselves, they're also amassing points for their team. And then maybe during the fall or something, you have teams that are seeded based off of how their individual players did during the year. Top teams get into some other tournament. Maybe something like that. I don't know. It's a pipe dream for me that that's still going to happen. But I agree that Liv did it very poorly.
I have no opposition to them trying team golf. I'm just going to say that, and again, I've said on the record, I think you're a bigger golf fan than me in terms of watching it and consuming it. But like they can try whatever they want, but there's a 0% chance I'm ever going to care about a golf team ever. It's never going to happen.
What if the teams were purchased by brands? What if Nike has a team? What if Titleist has a team? You don't
They
care?
sort of already do. I don't care. I don't care at all. It would have to be, so obviously if it happened, I would analyze the teams and I'd be sort of like, okay, yeah, I guess this team has 4 of my favorite players, so I guess I'm rooting for them.
Right.
But I wouldn't care. I'm not buying a hat.
You already did, actually. You already have the Titleist hat.
Exactly. I just could never ever care about that. I think for me, and I think for most people who truly love golf, nothing was broken with the game of golf. Nothing. The format for tournaments worked great. Cuts were great. I love nothing was broken. And so I don't need to change almost anything about the game of golf. In fact, I still am of the opinion that there's a little too much golf with just all the small tournaments on the PGA Tour. So I didn't need more golf. That was my biggest initial complaint with Live. Is I'm like, where's the market for this? I'm not watching the Canadian Open. So
Right.
Why am I going to watch some other random tournament that has even less history than the Canadian Open?
Well, you're saying nothing is broken with the game of golf, but you're also saying you don't watch it outside the major. So it's not. So is there nothing broken? Or maybe if it was fixed, maybe you would actually consume more of the product.
Yeah, I don't know. I love what it is. I do love what it is. I love the formats. It's not all of them, but a lot of these but even the ones I'm not watching, I love that there's a history to them, and those communities love them, and they're all very important. And I think I'm the minority. I think I think I am such a Tiger Woods fan. This was the problem. I'm the biggest golf fan in the world when Tiger Woods is playing in competitive, right?
Yeah.
And so I realized that I was a bigger Tiger Woods fan than I was a golf fan, because as soon as Tiger Woods went away, my investment went down by 60% easily. And so it's like I'll watch anything if if he's there. And it's like, but it changed for me, where it's like, so yeah, so what's broken is maybe that there's all these young players, but there's no one I'm crazy drawn to. I don't have a favorite golfer. If you asked me my favorite golfer, I'd probably list the top 5 or 6 American players and be like, yeah, they're all sort of in a pool of. But I don't have anybody I'm really rooting for on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people in a similar boat. I mean, golf is such a niche sport, and Tiger was this once in a generation Halley's Comet, once in a many generation. Like, if I don't know that tennis has had a Tiger equivalent. They've had obviously guys who have dominated the game, like, 3 guys who have dominated the last 25 years. But if they had a Tiger Woods level star, it would probably completely change the game. And then when he went away, you'd have sort of what we have now. I want to throw something at you about an analogy that is definitely half baked, but I think explains sort of what has happened here based off of the research and the stuff that I've consumed over the last 48 hours and the stuff I've known for the last year. To me, what's happened here is, let's say, for instance, that you own a pretzel store. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Just hypothetically. And somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to buy into your pretzel store. I want to invest. I want to be a part of this business. And you're like, no, sorry, we're good. And he's like, yeah, but I got a lot of money. I will, no. And you say, no, I'm good. Really good with it. He's like, okay, well, if you're not going to let me in, I'm going to open up my own pretzel store. Okay. And we're going to call it Public Investment Funds Pretzels, PIF Pretzels. Okay. And so
it's
he
catchy.
opens it
Right off the bat. That's catchy.
So they open up PIF Pretzels. I don't know if it's in the same mall or maybe it's across the street, whatever. And right away they start hiring at $65 an hour. And you're like, okay, like my employees make like minimum wage, and some of my managers maybe make $25 an hour, whatever. I $65 an hour is outrageous, but this guy's got so much money, he does it. And sure enough, he pulls like 7 of your team right away, like 3 managers, a couple of really good ones, some crew members. And so now you're scrambling. You still have some good staff that have stayed, but now you got to find other staff. Meanwhile, his product is not actually that good. The pretzels are not nearly as good as yours. He does have some different stuff and maybe one flavor that you're like, that actually might be a good idea to add to our menu. But for the most part, product is inferior. Then he sues you because you have a monopoly on pretzels or something. This is where the analogy sort of falls apart. But basically, he sues you, and so now you have to pay all these legal fees to try to fight this lawsuit, while you're also short-staffed and trying to work in the stores, while you've also maybe lost a little bit of sales to his product, even though it's kind of inferior. And this goes on for a year, and it's just annoying. And it's costing you money. It's cutting into your bottom line. And you're telling all your friends, this guy's the worst. This guy's ruining my life. Like, I hate PIF Pretzels, right?
You just wish that Jamba Juice was back where he is now. You just want the Jamba Juice back.
That's right. Hashtag Jamba Watch. That's an inside joke that nobody gets. And then after a year, he comes to you and he says, listen, how about this? How about I close up my shop? You can take over PIF Pretzels. You can do what you want with it. We can combine. You can have your employees back that I had. I'll throw out my lawsuit. In fact, I'll put $10 million into your business, and we'll upgrade a bunch of your equipment.
So many pretzels.
Now, if you're the one running his pretzel shop, because of the situation you find yourself in, you kind of have 2 options. Do you accept his money Do you welcome the enemy? Do you get some of your crew back? Or do you say no and continue on this other path, which sort of seems untenable and like it's going to bankrupt your business? And again, totally half-baked analogy, but from what I've read, that's sort of the position that the PGA Tour found themselves in. They should have seen it coming 5 years ago. They didn't. And it seems like Jay Monahan was basically getting strangled by somebody from behind and just turned the gun and shot his own arm off to try to kill the guy behind him. I don't know if he's going to survive this. It sounds like maybe the PGA Tour will be better off in the long run if this even goes through DOJ and all that. What do you think of that analogy?
I think it was very...
A waste of 5 minutes.
I think it was on the nose and extensive, but but it makes sense. It makes sense what you're saying, and it's good that you do own some pretzel stores, Brian. So you would know what this would look like in the pretzel world, and so I appreciate you bringing your pretzel world knowledge to the golf world. I feel like I understand it better.
Yeah, I think it wasn't. Just like in that analogy, it wasn't the fact that the pretzels at the other store were better. They weren't. The product was clearly inferior.
Right.
It just all would. I think it all comes down to the money and the lawsuits and all of it. So
yeah, I
don't know. It's pretty fascinating to me. I almost find it more interesting than the RBC Canadian Open. Just following what's happening.
Oh yeah, it is more interesting in every facet. So. I don't think you're going to get that analysis anywhere else. There have been emergency pods across the landscape, thousands of hours spent breaking this down, and you know what? We didn't get the food court analogy, and that's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, believe me, after this episode goes live, I expect it's going to be 24, maybe 48 hours until Golf Channel is reaching out to me to make an appearance on Live From just to talk about this. So
understandable.
All right. That wasn't even on the mailbag docket for today. I do have some mailbag questions from some real listeners and some not so real listeners. MS Qualf wants to know, are you guys doing a U.S. Open challenge?
You know what, Brian?
Yeah.
We are doing a U.S. Open challenge.
Yes, we are.
But we've teamed up with the good folks over at Chasing Scratch. So one of the top golf podcasts in the world and us, are teaming up for the Bag Scratch Challenge.
Yes.
That was your brainchild, I will say.
Yeah, it's a fantastic name. It's a fantastic challenge. You pick 6 golfers, 1 from each tier, 1 bite. You know the rules. First prize is
Edit that out. We are gonna get. We're gonna have to pay for that.
All right. I'll huckleberry that.
I'm not serious. You can leave that in.
Okay.
Sorry.
There's all this talk of lawyering up has me scared now of copyright infringement.
I
know. First prize is $150 in Chasing Scratch merchandise at the Chasing Scratch store. They obviously have stuff like polos and quarter zips, but they also have like head covers, that kind of stuff. So, $150 will go a long way. Second prize, $75. Third prize, $25. You also win some Titleist golf balls if you finish in the top 3. So, go sign up at bagscratch.com, and good luck to you.
Absolutely. I really missed an opportunity in that joke to say, I should have said one of the top golf podcasts in the world and Chasing Scratch is what I should have said. That was the better joke.
Yes. What you said was truth. You should have made the joke.
I did self-deprecating joke instead of funny joke.
Yes.
That's on me.
It is. And I'm not going to go back and change it now. So, all right. Question number 2 from Andy Herzog, who's an actual real life person. He wants to know, what are your top 5 courses locally? What kind of style of courses do you prefer?
Well, we live in the greater Philadelphia area, and I didn't know when I moved here what a a bastion of golf this place is, especially historically. The problem is they're all very high end private courses, so accessing these courses is not easy. But there's such a diverse range of incredible courses to choose from around here. You got places that have hosted U.S. Opens like Marion, and you've got Aronimink right here, and then tons of smaller court. They're not smaller, but Applebrook and White Manor and all these very cool courses. So it's a tough thing to choose from. What are your favorites in this area?
Yeah, it's like, a place like Rolling Green where you got to play a practice round and your qualifier. I got to walk it both times. I feel like that could easily be in my top 5 in the area if it was accessible to me. I played Huntington Valley one time. There's, like you said, there are dozens and dozens. Manufacturers, the 1912 Club, Lulu. There's
Philly Cricket Club.
Philly Cricket, right? Philly Country Club. We just
there are so many courses in this area that have hosted USGA tournaments. So to answer the question a little bit, I think just by default in this area, Marion is my favorite course in the area because it's something special. It's a different animal than any of the others. I think like if I had to go be a member at one other than Marion, I really truly think that Applebrook, where I actually caddied for years, is my favorite course that I've played around here. Just in terms of just like repeatedly playing it, it's such an interesting course. All the holes are different and memorable. I love that golf course. It's an early Gil Hanse design.
I thought of this question as I was thinking about it. I thought, what if the parameters were, he asked about locally, so kind of something in the area, something that you would drive to play for the day. If I had to pick 5 courses that were sort of in that local area for me, that were also courses that I've played before. Basically, if you said you can only play 5 courses for the rest of your life in those parameters, what would they be? So for me,
I have to have played them before.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to play them for, because otherwise we'd be like, oh, I drive to Pine Valley. I drive the hour and a half to Pine Valley if I get on it. You've played Marion, I haven't, so you could include that. I've played Aronimink, I've played Applebrook. But if I was building like 5 courses that I could play for the rest of my life, and in where I live now and how close the course to me is a factor, then I would pick Lancaster Country Club because it's 20 minutes away and it's world class. I would pick Honeybrook because I've played it all the time. It's one of my favorites. It's scoreable. It's fun. It's friendly. Pennsylvania's friendliest golf course.
I've heard that. I've heard a rumor about that.
I would probably pick. I'd probably choose between Applebrook and Aronimink. They're both about an hour drive for me. They're both wonderful. I feel like Applebrook might beat me up less than Aronimink would. So I'd probably choose Applebrook, and then I might choose like a Pilgrim's Oak or a Fox Chase, something within a half an hour that I can go out and it's always in pretty good shape, and I can maybe shoot my best round ever. I think that's where I would start with those 4. What about you?
Yeah, I obviously Marion, and then because I live closer to a lot of the private places. You're a little further out from the city. I would go more heavily towards all these private places. Like I would take Marion and Aronimink and Applebrook, just take all of them. Yeah. And if you wanted to throw in a public place or something, I actually love Glen Mills. At one point it was the number 1 public course in the state. Wow. And I love that little course, and it's not a little course, it's a really cool course. And then beyond that, there are so many little hidden gem private courses. Like White Manor is an amazing golf course. I love White Manor. It's so much fun. So I would have a very hard time narrowing down the I'd run out quickly because I'd go Marion, Applebrook, Aronimink, and then I'd be picking between a couple in a similar category, but that's where I'd start.
Yeah, and in terms of like what style that I like, it's funny when I think of that question, I kind of revert to the mid handicapper that I was in past years. And I know back then my answer would be I like wide open courses because I spray it all over the place. And like my biggest fear golfing in my 20s and 30s were courses that were like you were on a hole and you couldn't see any other holes because they were surrounded by woods. And it was like, oh, crap, how many balls am I going to lose today?
Right.
You know, and then you'd go to a course that was wide open, not a lot of trees, not necessarily crammed in, but, you know, oh, I can miss in that fairway. I can miss in this fairway.
Yep.
I still think I tend to lean towards courses that are more wide open. And even a course like Lancaster, you're not going to lose a ton of balls there. There's only water on a few holes, and there's tall grass, but it's not jungle grass. So
that is true of most of the courses we're mentioning here. These bigger courses, they're on bigger plots of land, which I think allows them to be a little bit more open. So they're not open in the way that Honeybrook's open, where there's a lot of holes where you can just blow it 3 fairways one way or the other.
Yeah.
But you have to hit a pretty bad shot to lose a ball at a lot of these places.
Yeah. You know, I haven't tried too many various styles of golf. Like I've not been over to Scotland or Ireland. I've played enough golf in Florida and a little golf in Arizona, and I would tell you that I probably prefer desert golf to Florida golf.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know too many people that love Florida golf. If Florida golf is defined by sort of flat, lots of water, no thanks.
I've never played well in Florida. I'm pretty, and I am there a lot in the end.
Okay, great question. Thank you, Andy, for that. All right, next question is from Jason Bullock. He says, what do you guys think about the mallet versus blade putter style, and have you ever done a putter fitting?
Have you have done a putter fitting? I have not.
I've actually done like 2.5 putter fittings.
Seems like 1.5 too many.
Well, I had to think back. I did a little bit of research and realized that in May 2020, I got fit for May 2020, I already had a ping putter, but I took it to a club champion to see if it kind of jived with my putting stroke and to see if I needed to make adjustments. So I went on the Sam Putt Lab thing there, and they actually bent the putter down from like 2 degrees to 0.5 degrees or something because I was sort of adding loft to it on my stroke. Then a year later, when I went to Pinehurst with the Chasing Scratch guys, we had some sort of a Titleist package that we did, and part of that was getting fitted for a putter there. So I got fitted for a Scotty Cameron there. But here's the thing about both of those putter fittings. Both of them I did with a traditional putting grip. Both of those, I've gone back and forth from traditional grip to claw grip. Sort of between like 2018 and 2021, I would flip-flop back and forth. And it wasn't
You would sometimes flip-flop back and forth within a round. I saw you just based on like the feel of the putt go back and forth. It was terrifying. It was like you wanted people to know you'd had the yips.
Listen, Phil Mickelson famously did that at times too. So I thought once he gave me license to do it, then I could be like, hey, Phil does this, I can do it.
Yeah, I think that especially now, that's a principle you can adopt.
Why not base your game off one of the best players that ever played the game?
No, I mean,
there's a lot in common.
I've joked a lot. Like, I think about his short game tutorial that's on YouTube every time I'm over a short, like a chip or a pitch, every single time. So trust me, getting advice from Phil is still fine in my book.
Yeah. So anyway, both of those putter fittings I did with a traditional grip. And the one at Pinehurst, I literally was clawing before that, and then right before the fitting, I was not putting well, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go back to traditional just for this fitting and then beyond this fitting.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
It was pretty stupid. Now I am claw through and through, and when I say 2.5 putter fittings, when I went to and bought that used Scotty Cameron 5 that I'm now gaming, and let you use the 5.5, I did get I didn't do a full putter fitting, but they did put one of those instrument measurement things on the shaft of the putter, and I rolled a few, and they were able to confirm that I am like a very slight arc versus more of a bigger one. And
they were able to confirm that you should buy this $400 putter. That was good of them. Science.
First of all, I got it used for $265, which
right, that's a good deal.
Not a terrible deal for a Scotty Cameron. So anyway.
Interesting time for this question, because while I have not been fitted, I had been gaming a Scotty Cameron Newport 2 and for about 2 years, I guess, and liking it well enough. And then you got your new putter, and then shortly after you got your new putter, I 5-putted at Pilgrim's Oak. And we haven't even mentioned this on the podcast, I don't think. I put my Scotty Cameron Newport 2 away after that round, and I have not used it since.
It was that round? Really?
That was the round, yeah. That was the last round I played with it. I 5-putted, and I said, we're never using this thing again.
Wow.
And so then it had me thinking about, so those greens were a little faster than Honeybrook, and I knew that the U.S. Open qualifier was obviously going to be way faster than Honeybrook, and I had always heard that heavier putters are better on fast greens. So you had that mallet putter that I knew you weren't using, so I boldly asked you, can I borrow that putter? And you graciously allowed me to borrow it. I did this a week before the qualifier, and while I did not putt very well in the qualifier, I still felt good about it and felt like it was taking away the one entire dimension of thought from me in a good way over putts, where it's like, with the blade putter, you have to think about whether you hit the ball well. You can, if you hit it out off the toe, it's not going to get there. And very quickly I realized, I'm just hitting, I don't have to think about hitting it well with this mallet putter. And so I've been using it ever since, and I love it. And so I have recently switched to the mallet style, your Phantom 5.5, and I told you last time we played, I said, Brian, I might never go back to a blade putter. I think there's a chance that this is that the Ricketts Torso round was the last time I ever play a blade putter. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm a victim to the moment, but that's how I feel right now.
Boy, that Ricketts Torso round really did a lot of damage to you. It was a 5-putt. It forced you to put a putter away, and that was before the camera came out and your shirt came off.
That's right. That's right. We've gotten a lot of play out of the Ricketts Torso round. My goodness.
We have. And how? Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I was going to say something really amazing.
All right.
I know I was going to ask you. So you mentioned taking that one dimension out of your putting stroke. You're thinking about putting. Do you think it's that? Do you think you're still mishitting it as much with the mallet? It's just that it's not as penalizing, or does the weight of the putter actually lead to something about the putter lead to more on center hits?
No, I think it's the former. I think it's that if I mishit it, it's more forgiving. So it's gonna, with the blade, it felt like I would hit one sometimes. Not very often. I was pretty good with my blade putter, but like there'd be a 35-foot putt, and I would put the right, swing on it theoretically, the right power. But I would hit the wrong part of the face. I would miss the sweet spot, and it would come up 15 feet short. And I would just know, I mishit that one.
Yeah.
And since switching, I haven't mishit. Whacking my microphone. Since switching, I haven't mishit a putt. I don't feel like I have. I'm sure I have. But they're still getting into the range that I would deem an acceptable miss. So that's what I think it is.
And that putting stroke, can you demonstrate what that feels like and what you feel like when you walk?
This isn't going to be a thing, Brian. We're not going to make this a thing. Okay. I appreciate your dedication to this show and trying to make Good content. We're not having that be a thing. The pool noodle sound.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing.
That's right.
Is what I'm hearing.
First Mean Girls reference. Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a Mean Girls reference?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Cool. I shouldn't have questioned it.
I'm not even familiar with the movie. I just know that that's a Mean Girls reference. All right. A question from Dennis Milkshoe. He wants to know, are either of you playing in any member guests this year?
Yes. Yes, I am bringing my brother up from Florida to play in the Honeybrook member guest. And I'm going to spoil your answer a little bit by saying you're not there, and it's very disappointing to me that you're not going to be in the member guest with me. I'm going to throw. I've talked to you quite a bit about this conundrum. I'm going to solicit opinions from listeners. So my brother is a great athlete. He's taller than me, better athlete than me, phenomenal baseball player.
Younger than you.
Younger than by 13 years. He's only 21 years old. And he can hit a golf ball a mile. He can hit it further than me when he catches it. But he does not play much golf. He's never broken 100. Mm-hmm. So he's coming in as a 27.3 handicap to this thing. And this scares me because he doesn't even play much golf. So we're going to have a week of golf to play together leading up to this thing. There's no reason he shouldn't play the best golf of his life in this stretch. And so I'm so scared of people thinking that we're sandbagging with him as a 27 because he might get up and rip a 325-yard drive on the first tee.
Right.
But then, listen, I've seen him play. He's not a very good putter. He's not good around the greens. He will dead chunk some wedges. He will blade some wedges. There's a reason he's never broken 100. But if he pipes a 320-yard drive on the first hole as a 27 handicap, I'm going to be looking around and hoping nobody saw it. and so it's...
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about this. I don't know whether to warn people and just be like, hey, this is the deal. Or if that just draws attention to it, or what. I don't know what to do. I hate it.
A couple things. Number one is that I have witnessed him play. I played back-to-back rounds with you and Grant in Florida in January, and I can vouch for all of it. I can vouch that he can hit the ball a mile, and I can vouch for the fact that he can hit the ball completely off the planet from tee to green, and he can make an absolute mess of holes. I thought for sure he was going to break 100 the first day we played together. I feel like he had a decent start to the round, and I thought to myself, maybe this is going to be the day. Judging from the few shots that I've seen, I don't know that he's that far from breaking 100. And then by the end of it, he was an absolute head case, and there was and aided by the fact that his older brother was just being a complete savage to him at all times.
That is not true. That is not true.
There was one point, I don't know if it was the first round or the second round, or maybe it was both, when
I think it was the second round.
He was trying to hit a T-ball, and what were you doing? Throwing a head cover, a ball at him, or
I threw a ball into his line, and then I was like, okay. So he hit it off the planet, obviously, or missed practically. I was like, hit another one. I won't do it. Then I did it again. And he's like, he was like, that's the problem. You always say you won't do it again, but then even if you don't, I know you might.
Right. It was an absolute Lucy Charlie Brown situation. And
it was fun.
Yeah,
we had
it was another side of you that I've never seen before. It was very, very mean.
Wow, that is harsh. I thought you were going to say fun-loving.
I actually felt bad for him. I was like, let the man shoot his 105 in peace.
It was late in the round. His score was gone. I wasn't messing with keyholes.
What I've already told you, and I'll say it on the pod here too, is that I think it's very important for him to post some scores from Honeybrook, because if he plays and starts to get into a groove, if he benefits from Honeybrook being wide open, if he can put up a 96 at Honeybrook the day before, then it's going to do two things. It's going to, one, it's going to show like, yeah, this guy is a 90/100 golfer. But if he can put up a 96 or a 98 or a 93, then that's going to reduce his handicap fairly significantly from 27 down to a 23. I
Right.
feel like that's kind of a win-win. Like,
Hmm.
if versus like if you go out and he bangs balls for a week at Golf Zone and maybe plays 3 holes here, 3 holes there, but he's not actually posting scores. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just think I like the idea of him putting up a score or two at Honeybrook and his handicap coming down a bit. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he's not sandbagging. He's yet to break 100. He doesn't play golf all the time. He hits at a mile. All these things are true, but in the context of a member guest, there are going to be some people that are side eyeing that. There's kind of nothing you can do about it, and
Right.
it just is what it is.
Yep. That's true. Are you? So I was gonna. Sorry. Go ahead.
It is what it is, and ultimately, if you win your flight because you play, as good as you can play or somewhat close to it, and he just benefits from the format, that's kind of how member guests work. And then, when you get to the shootout, probably his 27 handicap is going to come back to bite you when he's hitting a tee ball in front of 60 members, or he's got some delicate chip to hit. A lot of times that's when it falls apart. That's when it fell apart for Tyler and I in different ways. But yeah, no, I can't wait to hear how it goes.
I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm also. Should I mention? I'm playing in this other qualifier like in 12 days. Should I bring that up, or should I bring it up at a different time? Should I?
No, you can bring it up. Let's hear it.
I am also. I did a. Did I I didn't mention it on anything previously, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mentioned that I might. Okay, got it. Before the member guest, though, I actually did. I went ahead. I pulled the trigger at the 11th hour, and I signed up for the Philadelphia Open qualifier, and that is in only 12 days. That's happening in 12 days. It's going to be June 19th. And so I'm excited about that. It's a little different. I feel good about it because I don't feel nervous about it after a U.S. Open qualifier, and this is one that I feel like, unlike the U.S. Open qualifier, where I was pretty straightforward about the fact that I don't think I can qualify for this. I think with a good round, I could qualify for the Philly Open, and that would be a pretty cool accomplishment for me.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Where is the qualifier and where is the actual tournament if you qualify?
I'm literally blanking on where
Bellwood,
the
did you say?
Bell,
Is that it?
Yeah, Bellwood. Yep.
Okay.
The qualifier is at Bellwood Country Club, which is up in Pottstown, and
Okay.
then the actual event, were I to qualify, is at Lookaway Golf Club, which
Okay.
I don't know where that is. I am not familiar with it.
It's an interesting name for a golf club. Look away.
It is. Look away.
Doesn't
Avert your
conjure.
eyes.
You don't want to see this. In terms of my member guest season, it's just bad news all around. Number one, I can't play in the Honeybrook member guest because it's a good thing that my grandmother is celebrating her 90th birthday.
Disagree. Disagree.
I'm very excited for her. I wish it didn't fall on the same weekend as Honeybrook member guest, but I will be out of town with family celebrating that. So I'm excited for that. It's just a bummer that I missed member guest. I did think I was playing in the Lancaster Country Club member guest for the third year in a row. I was very excited about that. In fact, right now, I should be playing in a practice round for that because it's being played tomorrow and Saturday. But my dear friend, Mike Lapp, forgot to register us. And I think he is probably more upset about it than I am. I'm not really. I'm bummed. I'm not upset. But I did get a chance to play Lancaster last week. Had some friends come up from Virginia Beach, Josh and Aaron, and got them out there with Mike. We had a blast. On the 12th hole, Mike said, hey, when I get the email about member guest, I'm going to forward that over to you. And I thought to myself, remember, I guess is next week. I feel like he probably should have got emails already. And then about 10 minutes later, he was had this look on his face and said, "You're not going to believe this. I forgot to register us, and now there is a 23 team wait list."
Boy, rough. That's a rough one. Rough one.
It is, the opportunity to be out there on that property for 3 days. They always give a nice tea gift. I love hanging out with Mike. It's such a fun tournament. So we're both really bummed. I think they do a 1 day later in the season, so we're going to try to get in on that.
Yeah.
But
If
thoughts
Mike
and
is,
prayers. Yeah.
if Mike is listening, just do notice that he listed hanging out with you after the tea gift, and that's a bit rough. So I mean, maybe this is for the best, Mike.
Listen,
Just saying.
the last time you and I played with Mike at Lancaster, you were playing much better than me, and I could see the look in Mike's eye. I could see the wheels turning, like, maybe my member guest invite needs to go to Adam and not Brian. And I didn't like it. I put the kibosh on it right away.
I see.
And so, Mike, he's still trying to work on you. If you're listening, do not listen to him, please.
Mike, you're very handsome. I've been saying that.
All right. Final question. This is from Sherwood Keish. That's Kyche. Sort of like Sam Weish, I guess. Sherwood Keish. He wants to know,
Okay.
have either of you guys worked with a coach recently or someone who can advise you on your golf swing? And also, do you ever give each other tips?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, so a whole thing about me that, and it's a kind of defining to who I am as a golfer, is that I grew up without ever having any lessons at all. So I had a good coach in high school, but I got very little time with him. And to be honest with you, it messed my swing up more than anything because I didn't, I got 10 minutes with him, total for the year, it felt like. And so I've just kind of figured everything out by trial and error over 25 years of golfing. And recently, with this new job that I've mentioned, where I'm at the driving range and I've got unlimited balls in the simulator and range, in addition to that, there are a couple guys there who are very good golfers, very good coaches, who are just unsolicited, I'll be perfectly frank with you,
Yeah.
giving advice, but I'm taking their advice and it's good. It's good. So I wasn't sure at first because I was nervous about. I'm like, one of them's a great player, one of them's more of a coach, but they would both just pitch in things when I'm hitting on the simulator, and I got the shanks for a few days, like messing with stuff, but it's all coming together, and my swing is improving. I'm fairly sure of it. I know it's hard to say that, sometimes when you're just beating a lot of balls, but I've been playing some pretty good golf recently, and I think it's not just because I've been getting all the reps, but because I've had some outside advice, and had someone to ask a question to, a second pair of eyes. Yeah. I'm pretty interested in where that will go over time.
Yeah. No, it does seem like it's been a good influence on you. We don't really give each other tips hardly ever. There was a time in Arizona where I caught you sliding a little bit and said something, but yeah, I feel like for the most part, like our golf swings are like white noise sort of for each other. Like we've just seen each other swing the club so much, and there's really not a lot of surprises, not a lot to comment on. So we just kind of, and the fact that you're a field player. I'm whatever the opposite of a field player is, a technical player, I guess.
Any advice that we've ever given each other has been something very overt, where it's like, because we don't talk in the same language about things, where it's like I do talk in terms of a feel. Like, so the things that have helped me, like with these guys who have given me some advice, are strictly feel things. It's not a mechanical thing. It's like, hey, one of them said, I want you to feel like your arms are passing your body at some point in the downswing. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I can feel that. But if I tried to actually, break that down and make it a technical thing, where is it going to pass? How am I doing that? It wouldn't work. Where I feel like that's more the type of thing you're looking for. You're more prone to slow down your golf swing on video and look at it and break down what's actually happening and all that. And so I'm like, I feel like we speak different languages. So it takes something like in Arizona, I slid way forward with a driver, and it's like, okay, that's terrible. That's obviously not going to work for anybody, no matter what your feel is. And so it's usually like there have been times when I've said to you, you're taking it way inside. I remember telling you one time,
Yep.
but it's those types of things only.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, something that I've not yet told you, and partially because it's there's not really a whole lot to tell you at this point, but I have actually started dabbling with a new coach potentially.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. What's happening? You and Robbie had a falling out. Do you have a fist fight in the parking lot?
Listen, I can't comment because of pending litigation. But no, part of the reason that I have been hesitant to do it is because I've had a lot of success working with Robbie. He teaches out of Bent Creek in Lancaster, which is about 35 minutes away from me. Not super close, but close enough. And he's been really good for me over the last couple of years. And he's been real generous with his time. I'll be completely honest. Like, I have paid him for some lessons, but a lot of the lessons he gave me came out of the relationship. He gave Parker a couple lessons back in 2019, right before Parker passed, and Parker being my son, obviously. And so we kind of had a bond after that, and we spent a lot of time together over the next 18 months. He probably gave me 25 lessons, some of which were almost all golf. Some of them were actually just like hanging out and talking with like 5 minutes of golf in there. But a lot of the things that he put a lot of stuff into my game. There are things that I still use in my golf swing that I got from him. Things with my iron swing that led to, the round that I had on Black Friday a couple of years ago, when that was my best ever up until last month. Anyway, he's helped me a ton, but it's not always easy to get up there. He is so busy. He works with so many juniors that it's kind of hard for me to squeeze in there sometime. So I have been thinking about working with somebody else, and just through talking a lot with Mike from Chasing Scratch, I've got to meet his coach, Jason Nickel, who I believe listens to the show actually occasionally, and just thought, why don't I maybe reach out to Nickel and just talk to him, because there are some things in my golf swing. Well, yeah, my golf swing is not aesthetically pleasing to me at all. But
or to us, to be clear,
to anyone, it's not aesthetically pleasing to anyone.
That's not true. It's a fine golf swing.
No, I kind of started to feel like maybe that one over round I shot the other day was sort of represented the best that I have. When I was playing, not that round was an anomaly, because I was playing a lot of good golf, but it's like, and maybe this is for every golfer, but it was like all the feels were there. I had all the matchups working well. I was hitting the ball about as good as I can. That particular round, I only took 25 putts. And it's like, when everything's going well, when my really flawed swing is as synced up as it can be, like that's the best that it can be. And I've seen my swing enough to know like that the impact position that I have is not great. And while golf swings can be, there's 100,000 variations of a golf swing, most of the best ones look fairly similar at impact, and they don't look like mine. And so, anyway, I'm not gonna pontificate anymore on this. Just to say that I've reached out to Jason. I've sent him some videos. We've started working a little bit together. I'm scared to start tinkering, because I do feel like there's probably going to be one step forward to take two steps back. Or let me say that again. There's probably going to be one step back before I can take some steps forward. And like most good golf coaches, he's all about working on stuff sort of when you're practicing, but then taking your actual swing out to the course. Anyway, that's new to me, and that's now new to you. So I haven't fully committed to Jason, and I just want to say that because I don't want him to look like he's responsible for any golf swings that I put on camera over the next few months. Right. But I'm excited to work with him a little bit, and I will certainly be updating y'all on how that journey goes. So
it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Gosh, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have.
All right.
We have a pretty big match coming up next week in a few days.
We do. We have the team match play, and then I'm scheduling the Avenge match.
When is that happening?
That is probably happening either Wednesday or Friday of next week.
Ooh, okay. All right, that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you've got this Philly Open qualifier coming up as well.
Yep, the Monday after. So lots of golf happening, lots of important golf happening, and then the member guest for me is the week after. Is that the week of the Philly Open qualifier?
Love it.
We have too much content, right?
This is I feel like you're peaking at the right time. So
yeah, I went out and played 9 holes 2 days ago. Played them out of order a little bit, the back 9 at Honeybrook, and I had a putt that was probably a 6-footer, 5-6 feet, that would have gotten me to 4 under through 6. And I missed that, and then I made a double and a bogey on the last and shot even par. And I've never been more annoyed with even par in my life.
And actually, this is a little bit out of order, but it's fine. I would have kicked myself if I would have forgot to mention this. Part of the reason why I reached out to Jason Nickel is because of the round that you and I played together last week, when at one point I told you this is the absolute lowest point of my golfing career.
The nadir.
The nadir.
You said the nadir. And I almost said in that moment, but you seemed pretty upset. So I didn't. I almost said welcome back, because about a year and a half before, on the same hole, you had used the word nadir for your golf game. And I was like, it's full circle. It's full circle.
I don't know what I don't know what got over me in that round. I shot an 81 at the end of the day. It was it felt like I shot a 98. It was so bad.
So it was a combination of things. It was the blow up hole again, so you'd already been talking about the blow up hole. So there were a couple pretty disastrous holes in there and they were really bad. They were really bad holes.
Yeah.
And then you played pretty well the rest of the time, but that's the whole thing with the blow up holes. So it was sort of like, I think you were just sort of, again, to draw on the, Lucy and Charlie Brown kicking the football kind of thing. I think you were like, you built yourself back up from previous ones, and you're like, listen, I'm not going to blow up again, and then you did blow up again, So I think that cycle was wearing you out a little bit. You'd played a lot of golf leading up to that.
That's
right. And none of it had been very good.
Yep.
And so I think it was a combination of factors, because again, it can make it worse that you played pretty well. You played pretty well and shot 81 because of these blow up holes. So it's like that should have been a 76, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I lost 3 balls on hole 14, and that was after I had just lost a ball and doubled 13. The problem was the day before or 2 days before, whenever that was, I had played Lancaster, and I had not played particularly well, and I was not getting off the tee particularly well. And for the past 2 years, driver has been one of my strong suits, and when that starts going, this is what sort of led to the fact that, like, gosh, maybe I need to see a coach, because driver is sort of what keeps me in play and keeps me scoring well. And if when that start to go is if I don't have the feel, and then I have been working on this new pitch shot move with Robbie, which I think is going to really help me out in my golf game and is feeling really good. But then I tried to take some of those takeaway thoughts into irons and driver, and then I was standing over the ball with driver, completely second guessing if I even knew how to swing a driver. And so that's kind of what brought me back to that Nadir, was like the fact that, like, wait a second, a month ago you shot the best round of your life, and now you're tinkering again without the oversight of a coach, and you have no idea where this ball's going off the tee. And I started to get that in my head, put up a 6, followed by an 8, followed by doubling 15. And I was so distraught that I was beyond even being mad. I just didn't care.
I haven't seen you like that. You did care quite a lot.
Okay, fine.
There was a point, I think it was on 15, so you'd already made the 8 and you were in the process of a double. And there are times when we maybe give each other a little space after a bad hole or something, but I said something like, I think it was about the podcast maybe. I was like, I was thinking about, and you just cut me off and you went, I'm not ready to talk yet. And I went, all right.
I don't even remember that.
I said, I'm not ready to talk yet. And I went, okay, I'll shut up. And I was like, Brian's in a place. Brian's in the sunken place. And get out.
And so, and I was so deep in the sunken place that the game of golf realized it and was like, they pressed the code red button, and I made par in 16. I hit a 15-foot birdie putt on 17, and then made par in 18. Like, the game of golf was like, this. We need to let this guy finish these last 3 holes at 1 under, because this is bad.
But I would argue, being there, that more like, because normally, to the point that it's a joke, you know, playing the last couple holes at even par or 1 under, and you forget about those middle chunks. You were in the parking lot, and you did not seem your pain was not eased.
Oh no, you usually will stay and talk in the parking lot with me as long as I want to. We talked for like 3 minutes, and you were like, "Hey, I gotta go." Like, you could see that I was not in a good place, and I think you wanted nothing to do with it.
No, that is not true. But it's funny though, because you said, you asked what I had shot. I had shot like 72, so I felt
you played really well.
I felt good, and I felt like I should have shot better. And I was like, "What did you shoot?" You went, "What do you think I shot?" I said, "I don't know, 80." And you went not 80. I don't know, but not 80. And so I'm like, oh, I must have missed something, because this might be are we pushing 90? And then you kind of reluctantly and begrudgingly go to add it up, and it's 81. And I'm like, and so I went, oh, not 80, not 80. Sorry, I missed it by 1, undershot it by 1 stroke. That's my bad.
Part of my frustration too was that I had a par putt on 9. That would have given me 39 on the front. And so I just made some sloppy bogeys on the front. My allergies were so bad. The worst they've ever been. My approach shot on 6, my eyes watered so bad that my right eye closed in mid-swing, which it's annoying to complain about that stuff, but I complained about it anyway. And anyway, I was mad that I didn't have a sub 40 round on the front, and then it just got worse on the back.
You can edit any of these things out that you want, but there were a couple other things that let me know Brian's in a place. He's gotten himself into a place, because I've golfed with you hundreds of rounds and never seen it. So it was the allergies, not just because they were bad. Like, you had, like, you know, drainage from your eyes at different points. So I knew they were really bad, but like, a couple times you hit a bad shot, and then you'd wipe your eyes and be like, my stupid eyes, my eyes, why is this happening? And then there were 2 times in the back 9 where you were really upset at a bug. You backed off a ball and like slapped your leg trying to get some fly. Like, this fly is just harassing me. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
We are running tense here.
I was that guy. There was one time where Parker and I played in Cancun, and this guy, we got peanuts after 1 hole, and this guy then hit a really bad shot on the next hole and blamed the oil on his hands from the peanuts. And Parker and I kind of laughed about it in the cart, and then 2 or 3 holes later, hit a bad shot and again complained about the oily peanut hands after like hitting multiple fine shots in between.
Incredible.
I was kind of like oily hands guy when I kept blaming my allergies, but stupidly, like 2 days earlier, I had quit. I've been taking 2 allergy meds, and I stopped taking both of them, thinking I think allergy season's done. I'm just going to stop taking them, and
Yeah, late spring, early summer is notoriously not allergy season.
Anyway, all of these frustrations was what led me to Jason Nickel, and if I can fix some things and put some work in, all credit to him, and if not, then I'll delete all this stuff because I don't want his great reputation sullied by my golf swings. So
we're not trying to besmirch Mr. Nickel.
No, not at all. And you too can look up Jason Nickel if you want on the Skillist app. He's one of the top instructors on there, and he does good. Mike's swing looks great, and Mike's been putting up some great rounds as well. So his work is good. All right, that's all the time we have for today, and I'm gonna go take some allergy medication. Adam is going to go hit some balls at the AutoZone, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, this fly is really bothering me though. It's